Ask thumbs up if they can hear.
Good evening.
Thumbs up if you can hear.
Thank you for your hard work for our 2021 precinct reorganization. The party couldn't have a successful reorg without our precinct officers. Precinct reorganization is an event for the precinct. It happens on a certain day at a specific time. Greenville has our precincts reorg on the same date and time. This year, it's March 22nd. It's made to be an in-person event where registered voters gather and conduct precinct business. State law and party rules further show that it's meant to be an event on a certain day at a specific time because it mandates that if anyone misses the event, there is to be a makeup meeting. That's not just what we like to call it, that's what its legal name is. And that is mandated to happen on a certain date at a specific time at one central location. Some have attempted and are attempting to manipulate this process. In light of the November 3rd election, we are enacting safeguards to secure this process against fraud, abuse, manipulation, and ballot harvesting. Our reorg is between an individual voter and the Republican Party. The voter must come to the party if they want to participate in our party's reorg. This cuts out confusion and manipulation of the process, as well as follows the original intent. We are requiring the registered voter to use an original GCGOP Form 1 and ink sign at reorg on March 22nd or the makeup meeting on April 6th. There are two exceptions. If someone's going to be out of town for reorg, they need to come to the makeup meeting. But if they cannot make either, they can call or email me and we will schedule a time that they can come and fill out Form 1 in person, just like everyone else had to at reorg or the makeup. If you're going to miss the March 22nd reorg, but want to run for a precinct office, call or email me to schedule a time to fill out the Form 1 in person. Again, just like everyone else has to. But this must be done before the meeting for your name to be entered into consideration for a precinct office. Being elected when not present is difficult and unlikely, so we promote attending in person if at all possible. We are only accepting our original GCGOP Form 1s. Participants will receive them by attending reorg, the makeup, or from me. They are color-coded, precinct-specific, numbered, and have a watermark. Only these original forms will be accepted. I can imagine some keyboard warriors typing this very minute that Chairman Loip is trying to make this process more difficult to stifle participation. You know who else says that? Liberal Democrats who want to manipulate our elections and commit fraud. Our process is simple. Come to precinct reorganization on March 22nd. If you can't make that, come to the makeup on April 6th. In the rare case you can't make either, then call or email me to schedule a time to meet. There will be no issues whatsoever as long as registered voters come to reorg, to makeup, or to the party. Let me be clear, our Form 1s must be given to the party by the voter who ink signed the form on March 22nd. We will not accept forms from anyone other than the registered voter. Just like we do not support ballot harvesting, we do not need anyone outside the Greenville County Republican Party's reorg committee or officers harvesting Form 1s. We will also only be accepting forms at the makeup from the voter. Remember, reorg is between a registered voter and the Republican Party. On March 22nd, precinct presidents or those given authority by the chair to run a precinct meeting will accept Form 1s as agents of the party. but they can only accept forms from their specific precinct and only during their meeting. In closing, we have an elected officers team chosen by the convention and our executive committee to run the party and to run precinct reorganization. They don't just do a good job, they do an exceptional job. Diane Mitchell knows what she is doing and has volunteered hundreds of hours for this event. Our last reorg was the first reorg that I was in charge of. It was the first time in a decade that we had a larger reorg and convention than the cycle before. We've been working hard to increase turnout. Our marketing campaign will soon kick into full gear with radio ads, email blasts, phone calls, texts, videos, and much, much more. Our process will be by the book, and I'm excited about our new safeguards that keep our reorg from fraud and manipulation. Maybe Georgia should hire our team to run their elections. Please be inviting friends and neighbors and email me at chairman@greenvillegop.com if you have any questions. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, now on to the process and forms. Are we on? We're good? Okay. All right. Our nifty envelope that we had last year, we printed those again, much better than the state envelope that we received, believe me. So very similar. On your form, you will have up here on the top corner, the number of delegates that you are going to be able to send to convention from your precinct. And I will tell you that last reorg in 2019, we had used the 2016 presidential preference primary for the number of delegates. That was a large turnout event. This year, the state party voted in January. They had to use a newer primary than the 2016 one. So they used the June 2020 primary, and that turnout was not quite as big. So the percentage of voters that gave us delegates is going to be less for most precincts. So I'll let you know that. But your number of delegates is up here where it was. And then the information, a lot of information on the envelope itself. There's websites, there's list of what's inside, there's list of things that you need to do. And then there's information on the back that we'll talk more about that later. But there's the packet that you're going to get. Now, the Form 1, this is not exactly the color, but it's very similar, but I have good news. There's only one Form 1 this time. Last year we had to do two forms, one for the state and one for the county, but this year we finally got permission to just do one form. Hallelujah. So one Form 1, and the information, it's very similar to what we did last year. We had the 9-digit form, 9-digit number for the registration form, and the information that they fill out at the meeting. So that's not new too much. Form 2, this is the one that you fill out at the end of the meeting, where you fill out all of your results from your elections, and you list your delegates and the amount of money that they gave you. That's Form 2. All right, now the guidelines, I'm going to give you two things that you're going to use as your reference for your meeting. The guidelines, which is very similar to the last year, and then also an information and agenda sheet that you will give to the voter. So let's go ahead and talk about what the guidelines are. It is a step-by-step guide for running your precinct meeting. And we don't need to go through absolutely every word of this, but it is seriously a check mark that you can just go by and create a pleasant environment for your meeting. When you greet the voter, give them two pieces of paper. You give them their Form 1, and you give them the information and agenda sheet that I'm going to show you later. And then you get them started filling out their top of their Form 1, just the top. Don't get them distracted with the bottom, just the top. And if they fill out the top, also have them read the back of the information and agenda sheet, which if you remember from last year, it explains the dates of all of our future events. It explains what the precinct officer's responsibilities are. And it also has a receipt at the bottom should they want one. And so that sheet, the information and agenda sheet goes home with them. That is theirs. Please do not turn it back into us. That is theirs because it has information that they can take home. So that's the first thing that you're going to do is before the meeting even starts, give them the Form 1 and have them start filling out just the top. Then you're going to certify the voter. Now, y'all have done this before where you want to try to do this ahead of time. If they be great if they come in early. If not, just go ahead and get them started. And so we need to certify them into precinct membership. And of course, the first thing they need is their voter registration number. And they need that on their card, or you can get that from scvotes.gov. It's scvotes.org or gov, I think still works. So hopefully I've been encouraging people to print out that information on scvotes.gov if they do not have their voter registration card and bring it with. So we don't have to spend the time at the meeting looking it up. So if you know the people coming ahead of time, please encourage them to do that so that they have it right there and they have their 9-digit number. It is 9 digits. Many older voters, their voter registration number is only 7. But if you go to scvotes.gov, you can find the other 2 numbers. It's usually 23 at the beginning if they've been in Greenville County for a long time, because now it's a county designation. All right, so now you've got you've got them that they're certified voter. You can check their photo ID. And then normally what we usually do is we check the voter list for whether or not they voted in the primary. And the other part of that rule is that, or they can be elected into membership at the precinct meeting. All right, the state party has decided that checking against the June 2020 primary list is not an important thing to do this year because they want to encourage the new Republican voter to come to precinct reorganization and get involved. So we will not be checking it against that list. They did not provide it this year. So they will be elected into membership by virtue of their coming to the meeting and having the certification that they need, the driver's license, the registration, their voter registration number. All right, so again, only registered voters may participate. And there are a couple of important things to remember. Voters may not fill out a form for another voter if they're not there. And voters may not, no proxy voting is allowed. A valid registration number must be on the Form 1. All right, we're going to do this quickly because I don't see that good way to ask questions here. So we'll just keep going. All right, since you have previously requested for the voters to familiarize themselves with the duties of the precinct officers that are on the back of the sheet, and I think I'm missing one. Wait. Okay. Yeah, I'm missing a thing here. When you start your meeting, you are going to, I've got my slides out of order here. So when you start your meeting, you're going to, right before that, you're going to take up your Form 1s. I know that sounds crazy, but you're going to take them back up. And then if you've got someone there that would be helpful to you, get them to alphabetize that list and make a list of the voters. All right, so then you're going to go into your invocation and your Pledge of Allegiance and your Republican Creed. And if you're meeting with multiple precincts and you're doing all this together, then, or if you're at the Hilton or the GOP headquarters or Greenworks Recycling where you're having all your meeting together, that's fine. Y'all can figure that out, how that's going to work out together. You can read the letter from the chairman, which is on the agenda, and then, or you can make copies of it and pass it out. That's what I do. And then you want to welcome your voters. And all of this is on the guide sheet that I have for you, with all the details of what you can say, suggestions of how you can welcome them, how to explain what reorg is. And then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to read this list of certified voters to your precinct. So with this list of certified voters, you need to have someone read the list and then give you the number of people in attendance and the number needed for majority vote. So that is called certifying the voter at the meeting. All right, let's see if my next. Okay, now we're on to this one. So once you get to that point, then you're getting ready to go into your elections. The description of your precinct offices is on the back of your info and agenda sheet, which you have given the voters. So hopefully they have already read it. And then we're going to go into elections. You only need to elect a temporary chair during elections if the person running the meeting is going to run for office and there is a contested race. You don't have to do it. It's a temporary chairman may be chosen. It is not required. If it's possible, might not be a bad idea. So temporary chairs only take charge of the meeting for that one part of the meeting for elections if they're contested. Okay, you're gonna elect. I would suggest that you start with the executive committeeman, because that is the office that is the one that most people want to do. It's the one that they that votes at the GOP county party meetings. So I would start with your electing your executive committeeman, and then go to your president, and then you can do vice president, secretary, treasurer after that. We want you to try to do this in parliamentary procedure, but I don't want you to trip over yourselves trying to make sure that you are getting this correctly done. Just be fair and transparent. That's all that we ask. I don't want you to get tied up in knots about whether or not is the, I rise to nominate and that kind of thing, because while it is important that we are fair and transparent in the process, not everybody's a parliamentarian, and this is a small meeting. And I think if you work with your people and you're fair, and when you're counting the votes, it's evident that there isn't any ballot tampering going on, I think you'll be fine. I hope that there is not going to be any people that come in and try to upset the process by trying to prove that they're a better parliamentarian than you. If that's the case, just use your fairness, and I think we'll be fine. All right, moving on to the delegates, the election of delegates. I've already said that the number of delegates will be smaller this year probably. And usually everyone in attendance that wants to go to convention usually can go if they want to, because most of the time the people that are in attendance is less than the number of delegates. But in the event that you need to have an election, again, just be fair and transparent, and you can decide if you want to have each one speak for a minute or two to talk about what they think about. If you have more people there, then you have spots for delegates. Okay, there's my slide. All right, fees. All right, what does it cost? It doesn't cost to do anything at the to come to precinct reorganization. That is free. If you want to go to the county convention, it is $20, and it is required that they pay that night. So when you're speaking with people, tell them to bring $20 at least if they want to go to convention. Then if they want to file for a state, to be on a state delegate, that filing fee is $15. So the most they will need that night is $35. It is a filing fee for state delegate. It is not a guarantee that they will be a state delegate. That will be voted on at the county convention. Should they be elected to be a state delegate, then there will be additional fees that the state GOP will charge them and collect at a later date. Okay, then after all of that, you're going to return the Form 1 to the voter and have them complete it, the bottom of it. And that way they'll know what they've been elected to. They'll know how to check the boxes. They know what they need to pay, and then they can finish it. Then after that, the president reviews the Form 1s from each voter, double checks them for accuracy and legibility, and then passes it to the treasurer. The treasurer checks the fees, and then the secretary signs the form, alphabetizes them, and then you're ready to go on to the next part of your meeting, which is business and announcements. Usually there's not much business to go on. Sometimes people will bring in resolutions. If they bring in a resolution to be considered, it's recommended that the resolution be in writing and there's enough for everyone to have. And if possible, the resolution can be quickly checked against the platform because it may already be in the platform. Hold a brief discussion if you need to, and then you can vote on it or you can table it by the eligible members of the precinct. If you pass it, you need to put a copy of it back in your packet and return it that night so that it can be sent to the county resolutions committee. And then you adjourn your meeting. But wait, you're not done yet. There's important paperwork to finish at the end of the meeting. The current president or EC, you're going to fill out your Form 2 that I showed you earlier, and you're going to put the money in an envelope that we're going to give you like this. And then you are going to complete the front part of your packet. There's a checklist at the front, and you do that. But please do not fill out the back of the packet. The back of the packet is only for the use of the people that are doing the check-in once you get to the Hilton. Please do not fill out the back of the packet. That is for us. But then you need to bring the packet back to the Hilton on that Monday night. And we're going to be there between 8:30 and 10. Now, I know that your meeting starts at 7 and you may get finished by 7:30, and then we may not be available until 8:30. So go get a hamburger or go get some lunch, or maybe go make a listing of all of your the people that came to your precinct meeting, and then come see us. We might be able to take you a little bit early, but one of the reasons we had issues last time is because our people that were doing the check-in were doing their own precinct meetings and couldn't get to the Hilton in time to check you in. So give us time to get our people in place, and I think it will go much more smoothly. So I will see you then at 8:30, between 8:30 and 10 on March 22nd. All right, let's see. All right, this page is the page that I'm going to give to you're going to give to the voter. And it goes right with the guidelines. So we're not going to go through all of this, but I just want you to know that there is a page that the voters are going to get that will explain everything to them. This is exactly what they need to do. So you hand it to them when they come in, and it tells them exactly what to do. Fill out the top form, read the back, find out about the fees and the officers. Here's their agenda for them that's going to be on the back. So they've got an agenda, so they know what is coming. And then this is the back of the form that you're going to give the voter. It has the dates and the fees, and then the description of offices. So this is what they're going to get. And then this is, if they want a receipt because they paid you money for convention, this is what you use for their receipt. So that you fill it out only if they want it. You don't have to if they don't want it. If they've written you a check, they may not want a receipt. If they've given you cash, they may want a receipt. So this receipt is for them. So fill it out, give it to them. We got a lot of these back last time. That's not the point. We already know that. So this is for them to take home. So this is on that voter information sheet that you're going to get to give to them. All right, so don't need that. All right, this is what you need to know. Precinct officers assume their duties after the county convention. So if you are deciding that you're not going to run for office and you're going to let somebody else be a precinct officer this year, then your term is not over until after convention. Okay. Officers who complete the training are the ones that run the meeting. So if somebody else comes in and wants to run the meeting and they have not been to training and you are the one who runs the meeting. This packet must be returned that night, please. There was a rule floating around a while back that gave you a couple of days to do it, but we really just cannot have you turning it in a couple of days later. We have a short window to get this information back to the state, and so we need you to get that packet back to the Hilton. The makeup meeting is set by the county, and the information is turned in immediately after, and it's held at a central location, as Nate explained earlier. All right, we have quite a few precincts that are meeting together, which is great. I love that. And so if you're doing that, just know that the person who is running the meeting is the host precinct. If Standing Springs is hosting Darby and Ridge and O'Neill, then they are the one who was running the meeting. So unless you figured out ahead of time that how to participate and spread that out, then please know that the host precinct is the one who was running the meeting. We're done. Did I do that quickly enough? Did I go too fast? Are we good? Yay?
If they have a question, they can
All right.
physically raise their hand, or there's a hand raise feature. So
Okay.
and I'll ask them to unmute so you can.
Okay. Nate says if you have a question, you can physically raise your hand, or there's some kind of feature on Zoom that raises it. No. Okay. So I see Richard.
Lawrence.
Richard. Okay. You need to unmute.
He needs to unmute himself.
Richard, can you unmute yourself?
Let's go to Suzette while we.
Okay, while you work on that, Richard, we're gonna go to Suzette.
Okay, am I live?
Yes, you are.
Can for the precincts that are meeting in groups, can one person bring several packets?
I would like to say no to that, just because with check-in, then that creates issues for us if it's not correct. We can't go back. So I would, maybe we can do that on a special permission basis, depending on who is the one who's running that meeting and who is, how many people. If there's just one person that came to reorg, then probably that might be okay to bring the packet in. So I might like to handle that on a case-by-case basis. I don't know if I can do that or not. Annette, you see Annette waving?
Okay, okay.
Am I in?
Oh,
Hey.
Oh, okay. Hang on,
Can you hear
Annette. Richard,
Okay.
Richard got his thing on. Okay,
Yes,
Richard.
I'm
go
in.
ahead.
Yes, I'm in now. How about the COVID guidelines?
I don't believe we have any COVID guidelines for precinct reorganization. I think we are assuming that if someone is concerned that they are at risk in coming, then they should likely stay home. If they want to maybe meet with Nate separately in order to put their name in, but we don't have any specialized instructions.
Can you guys hear me if I talk from here without switching the camera on? You don't want to
Yes.
see my beautiful face. Let's let the individual participants protect themselves. If you want to come with a hazmat suit and gloves and a mask, and that's perfectly fine. If you feel that you're in a high risk category, and I think you can still come to most venues and stay away from people and stay 12 feet away. So I think we will be okay. And I haven't heard of too much negative feedback so far.
Okay.
Okay, we're
All
good
right,
for
Annette?
me.
Yes.
Okay, so we had a number of people the last time around, and I want to make sure we have enough forms. Do you have a certain number of forms that you'll have that have this water stamp and all that?
Yes, we hope that we have covered that. I think we probably tripled the amount, double or tripled the amount of forms that the number of people that you had last time.
Okay, and also, do we know the state convention date yet?
We do not. I do not. Nate, have
Okay.
you heard?
Still no answer.
No answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Paul?
Let me.
Okay.
Yes, this is the first meeting that I will be attending, first reorg meeting, other than last 2 years ago when I elected myself as EC. Because there was nobody else there from my precinct. So at this point, I guess I'm going to have to run the meeting because there's no officers in the precinct. I've never met anybody else from the precinct at any of our meetings. So is there any problem with that?
No, you can say the pledge with yourself and you can pray for yourself.
Well, no. I hope to have people from my precinct come.
Yes. Well, we hope so
Okay.
too.
and go through what you went through. I'm going to come Thursday night because I need a better understanding, and I like to see those forms, and I couldn't really see them on this small screen that we're dealing with here.
Yes. This
But
is definitely a challenge, having to do this without you having your packets in front of you. And I appreciate your patience in that.
right, but I'd sure like to get a little more information, and so I'll be there Thursday night.
Okay, I think that would be great. And I can spend time with you afterwards if you still need it. That would be
Okay,
great.
thank you.
You bet.
Dennis Bollinger.
All right, Dennis?
Yes, I just wanted to ask a little bit about Form 2. It went through quickly and I didn't catch anything. If you just briefly overview Form 2.
Okay, Form 2 is a form that there's only one in each packet, and it is filled out by the precinct officers. The president and the secretary, I think, have to sign it. And it's a form, and I'm sorry you can't see it. It's all it is a listing of the results of your election. Who is executive committeeman, who is president, who is first vice president, who is secretary and treasurer. And so you just put the results of your elections right here. And then down at the bottom, you want to list the people that were elected as delegates to convention at your precinct meeting, and did they pay? And so, and the amount that they paid, so that when we do a reconciliation of the finances at the end of the evening, we have a record of who is going to convention and who paid, because they might be elected to convention, but if they haven't paid, they're not going. So we need to make sure that those things are all together on that form too. Does that answer your question? Okay, great.
Candace?
Candace, you got a question?
Yes, ma'am. First of all,
Okay.
thank you so much to you and Nate for organizing this meeting and doing it virtual so we can have attendees. So thank you for that. I know it's so easy. I've had several people ask me who their current EC is for their precinct and if their precinct is organized right now. And is that something I can follow up with you about sometime this week? Because I don't want to take up time in the meeting, but I have about like 10 people who want to know that.
Okay. Here's the best way to check on whether or not your precinct is organized is to go to the locations list on the website, because every precinct is listed. And if they have a location, then, or if they're still to be determined, then those are people that are organized and we're working on it. But there are precincts there that are already listed as unorganized, and they will be meeting on the April 6th meeting. Now, we have a tricky situation with probably, I think it was I don't know what year it was at least 4 years ago, that the executive committee, that means all the ECs and presidents, decided that they did not want their information, personal contact information, being shared with everybody, because we were having people that misused that information and used it for their own issues or for their own businesses. And so we have that, I'm not going to say hands tied, but we are limited in what we can share with people. And so at this time of year, if it's difficult when people ask me who their EC is, and as much as I'd like, what I can do is maybe share their information with the EC, and then the EC can decide, or the president can decide, if they want to then contact that person. We're so close to reorganization right now that I would just tell the person to please just show up at the meeting where it's designated that they're going to have the meeting, and get their meet their EC and president at that time. And then if they want to stand for election, they can do that at that time. But we could talk throughout, you can call me later and we'll get it. If there's something specific I can help you with.
Paul?
Okay, Paul, you got another one?
Yes, I have another question. I don't understand the $20 charge to come to the county convention. In my situation, whoever shows up has never been to any meeting of the committee. And to tell them that I want to get them involved and then tell them it's going to cost them $20, that It doesn't sound like we want people to come.
Well, I will say this, that if they want to get involved and come to any GOP meeting that we have at the Hilton, which we have at least 5 a year at the Hilton, those meetings are free. They do not cost anything, even though it does cost us to rent the Hilton every time. But the convention is a huge expense to the party. We have to hold it at the convention center, which is a big expense. So we have to cover our expenses at the convention. So they can still be involved without coming to convention and by coming to the other GOP events. Nate, you want to add anything to that?
Hey, everybody. Hal, can you see Hal's behind me, our parliamentarian? Paul, good question. I think the answer also would be, since Greenville County is the largest in South Carolina, we really triple, quadruple the size. If there was no cost at all, we would have so many people who really didn't intend to come sign up. And then we have to make lanyards. We have to make sure they have ballots. And the charge is to cover the convention, which cost us about $3,000. But it also puts a little skin in the game that if you're going to pay $20, they're probably going to show up. And normally we have, I looked at the numbers the last few years, we have about 12 to 15% of people who even pay the $20 and they don't come. But if we didn't charge that, I feel that just so many people would sign up with very few intentions, and we would never be able to do the ballots and that process. So that's the other aspect as well.
Okay, anybody else? Oh, I see some, oh, Daryl.
Diane, can you tell us about the number of delegates in particular precincts tonight?
No, I don't have that in front of me, Daryl. It's on each precinct list. So you'll know when you get your packet, but
Okay.
yeah, they're all spread out on
I
the,
don't have it either.
Okay.
Do you have a copy? Do you have a list?
somewhere. I don't have it in a spreadsheet.
The state used to give us that in a couple different forms outside of that, and this year they just didn't give it to us. And I know it's very important for a few of you. Generally, we used, I want to say I saw it somewhere because no. So the packets, the number of Form 1s in your packet were based on the last cycle attendance. So they weren't even based on the number of delegates you have. So
Yeah.
to this date, I'm not sure I've seen it with my own eyes, but I would like to get that. We have a few requests into the state party of information. One of those was the convention date. And I think they're still looking at, because of the restrictions that were lifted, they're still looking at venues. We were going to put in for from the Department of Commerce to have our convention even. And luckily Governor McMaster lifted that. We are still under some venue restrictions. And so just a heads up, we want to tell everyone, come out. If you live in Greenville County, come out and register, because we don't think we're going to be able to have visitors at the convention this year. Shouldn't be a problem with anybody, because if you live in Greenville County, come out and become a delegate or alternate. I'm just going to say it right now. We're going to make one exception to that, and listen carefully. If you live in Greenville County and you do not legally qualify to be a delegate, I'm going to be nice and still let you in. But friends in other parts of South Carolina, we're not going to be able to do it because of the restrictions that we're in at this time of the year.
To mute myself.
Okay.
Okay, Annette and then Alan.
Yeah. Okay. Annette?
I just one more. I think this is true, but I just want to verify it. And that is, if they pay the fee, and hopefully by the time the 22nd is there, we know when the state convention will be. But if, let's say, they pay the fee to be involved in the vote for the state convention, and they don't get voted in, they know that's forfeit, correct?
Thank you for saying that, Annette. That is absolutely true. It is a filing fee. When you put your name in for nomination to be a state delegate, it is considered a filing fee, which is not refundable when, whether or not you become a delegate.
Just like if you run for US Senate or any other office, you don't get that money back. And you may want to tell them, if you run for state house, you lose. Sorry, that money's spent on the election. So the same thing here,
Okay.
that filing fee pays for all the ballots and that kind of stuff.
All right.
We said Alan next.
Alan, okay.
Yeah, quickly, did I miss something? How do we get our packets? Do we get them mailed to us, or we have to come back to headquarters to pick them up?
Okay, there is, if you've been getting the emails, it was an email update number 3, the dates and times for your packet pickup. So
All right.
Alan, make sure, have you been getting the emails? Because I know that you're the vice president and.
Yeah, I think I've gotten 4. Is that right?
Okay, yes, I think there have been 4. So it's in there. It's this Saturday morning from 10 to 12, and then next Monday from 5 to 7. And then if you're coming on the 11th for training, you can pick it up then.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Let me, one important thing too is Greenville boasted the only precinct that we know of in the entire state of South Carolina to refuse registered voters participation. The precinct even did not let their current secretary of the precinct participate because there was someone running the meeting didn't pay attention to time and time again, even says on the forms, we would like the original voter registration card, but that is not necessary. People came and had copies of scvotes.org. That wasn't accepted. You can also look it up that day. Go to scvotes.org. You can type in the birthday, the legal name, verify it that way. The big thing coming from the state is if they're a registered voter in Greenville County, we want them to participate. If a lady comes and her name is Michelle Obama and she looks a little familiar, then double check her. And if she's registered in Greenville County, call me. And then we may make a special dispensation if it's the chair. Funny story, an officer of the Democratic Party is a hard R voter in Pickens County. And we're not gonna deal with nonsense like that. But if we believe they're a Republican, check their voter registration, check their license. We're gonna require licenses at the convention this year as well. None of this nonsense that happened on November 3rd is happening here. Maybe we can set the example all the way up to national elections, but we're just not doing any nonsense this time. Registered voters in the correct we also boasted the only precinct that we know of where someone outside of the precinct elected themselves to the executive committee position. I almost forgot that. This happened. I see some of your faces. I don't know if you can see. This literally happened. A man came and picked up a packet, ran a meeting that no one attended. I think he had it in his car, and elected himself. And it took us a little while to find out that he doesn't even live in that precinct. The other important thing as well is in 2017, the convention passed a rule to serve on our executive committee. You must have voted in 2 out of the last 3 even numbered primaries. So 20 will count, 18 will count, 16 will count. God bless participants who are new to the Republican Party, but we want the decision makers, you guys, the decision makers of the party need to be active Republicans. I use a religious analogy for this. God bless you if you're a Baptist, but if you just converted, it doesn't mean that you should teach Sunday school the next week or be on the deacon board. It's the same principle here. We want people who have a proven track record, and since we don't have registration by party, we went with a Tennessee rule, and we want to at least know that they voted. If there's any questions, it's probably safest to mark that on the sheet because we will be looking through our EC's voting records to make sure that there's that rule is followed. It's there, it's passed by the convention, it was ratified in 2017, and we are going to abide by that.
I think Suzette has a question.
Regarding the state convention, it is always held in May and it's on a Saturday morning. It's usually the first or second Saturday of May. But it's in Columbia, and Columbia probably has some of the strongest venue restrictions of anywhere in South Carolina. So the state party is still working with what the governor says and with state and with venue restrictions. So that information will be coming later, but you could count on probably the first or second Saturday.
All right, any more questions? I don't see any more hands. Daryl, was that you?
Yep.
Let me find
Yep.
it. Where'd you go?
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
When they pick up the packet, is it going to be on the main floor of the headquarters?
Yes.
Chris is going to pick it up for me. Okay, very good. That'll help
Yes.
us. Thank
Yes.
you. Thanks.
All right, anybody else?
Let me answer one other concern that was raised. One other concern that was raised, Anthony asked it, Tony asked it in the notes or in the chat feature. The elections are majority, and majority by definition means majority. If it's 4-4, that's not a majority. It has to be 50% plus one. And so that's, if it's a tie, the rules are very clear on that. It's casting lots. And what I recommend is, and I think this has happened once, and I gave an example on social media a couple weeks ago. If it's a 2-2 tie and I brought my best friend and Hal's in my precinct and he brought his best friend, chances are not much is going to change if Hal and I are both running for EC. So you can vote once and then maybe vote twice and then cast lots. Flipping a coin is fine. Drawing straws is fine. If you want to number paper 1 to 10 and say the highest number, pick it out of a hat, that's fine. Where it might get a little more confusing, you might want to have a second vote, is if there's 20 people in your precinct and really no one knows many people, and it's me and Hal, and there's 18 other people, let them vote a second time, because maybe someone would say, well, you know, I voted Nate for that first time, but you know, Hal, let's give him a vote, and it may switch. So majority vote. If no one gets a majority, you cast lots.
All right, anything else? Okay, great. I think that's it then. Thank you again. I just cannot tell you how much I appreciate your work. It has made my job easier because you have done your job, and I just truly, truly appreciate it. I can't tell you how much. So packets will be available. Check your email. There's a postcard coming out. Thank you, Candace Spradlin, for making that great postcard. Use your videos to advertise to your friends, and we look forward to a great evening for Reorg.
Let me add one more thing on the marketing side. We are going to be, for those of you that have social media, we do have a plethora of videos coming. If you logged in earlier, you saw that video from Dr. Herbster. The two of the YRs were here tonight recording a video. We have Sheriff Hobart, arguably one of the most popular Republicans in our county, highest vote getter in the entire county of Greenville, is supposed to be stopping by this week. Facebook is making it difficult for us. We can't boost political posts anymore. And so if you have Facebook, please share those videos on your page. You can even tag some friends that may be interested, but that is worth so many marketing dollars if you guys can share those videos.
All right. Okay, I think now we're it. Now that's it. So have a great night, and thank you so much.